Good evening, hello world. We are broadcasting to all 4 points of the compass right here on the internet. You've joined us. You know it. You love it. It's Midnight's Edge After Dark. We are up late with you people. Isn't that special? Wouldn't you say that, Matt? Wouldn't you say that, Tom?
Yes.
Say that. Please say that. Don't
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so late where I'm at that the sun is still up.
Damn you.
Well, that's right. You're all out there in the
Yep.
west, so
West
yeah, you're
Coast.
lucky.
I'm also in the
Don't you-
northwest, so it doesn't get dark here till around 10:30.
Hey, don't spread that round earth nonsense, okay? Let me tell you, we're all living on a disc in the middle of space.
It's round, I tell you, it's round. Anyone who says otherwise is crazy. To the moon, I tell you, to the moon.
It's as flat as Ben Affleck's face. What do you mean? No.
What? No, hold on. That's not fair. It's as flat as his acting.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like Ben Affleck's
I am,
acting.
of course, Mr. Rob Robot Shlomo. With me, as always, Mr. Tom Connors.
Good afternoon, and good evening, and good night. No, I'm just kidding.
And joining us once again is Mr. Mundane Matt.
They have dirt on me. That's why I'm here.
Special show, though, actually. You know what, though? Why don't you
Yeah,
tell the
we had a
viewers we had a dramatic day today besides this AT&T merger. We surpassed...
10,000 subscribers!
Yay!
Woo-hoo!
Woo, we're hitting the big leagues.
Happy days are here again, and I'm hoping it's public domain. Okay.
And of course, I'd like to
Congrats.
thank Andre
Congrats
and
on
Rob
that.
and guys like Matt for helping us out with that. And you guys out there listening, of course, we couldn't do it without you. So we definitely want to thank you for helping us reach that milestone. And we're going to be having a Q&A coming real soon.
Yes, Q&A. Who doesn't love a little Q&A?
That'd be a little TNA. That'd be a little
Yes.
TNA.
So anyway,
we fucked it up.
Oh, dang.
I say, I think you're
So
getting a little
anyway-
confused there, yeah.
So anyway, we had a big story come down the pipe, and why don't let's just jump right into this, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, apparently the Time Warner AT&T merger is a go.
That is true.
So this is actually, I'm sourcing this from the Hollywood Reporter. Of Time Warner instantly rose 5% after the closing bell the moment the news broke, while shares of AT&T fell 1%. A federal judge's ruling Tuesday in favor of AT&T's acquisition of Time Warner has bankers salivating over the next mega deal and the one after that, now that the regulatory floodgates appear to have been opened to mergers and acquisitions. Shares of Time Warner instantly rose 5% after the closing bell the moment the news was broke, while shares of AT&T fell 1%. Evercore ISI analyst Vidan, I hope I pronounced that right, said a positive court trial decision would be providing encouraging backdrop for media M&A, meaning mergers and acquisitions. And Hal Vogel, CEO of Vogel Capital Management and a former entertainment industry analyst, told the Hollywood Reporter, if the deal is allowed, then of scene actually has
You're going to have to repeat that last part, Rob. We lost you there.
Hal Vogel, CEO of Vogel Capital Management and former entertainment industry analyst, told
See, they don't want, somebody doesn't want you to
mergers and
report it.
acquisitions in media will likely be seen. It's the deep state, man.
Yeah, they're throttling our internet, man.
We lost. It's possible.
This is your punishment.
Yes. Anyway, first up is Comcast, which as early as Wednesday could make an all-cash bid for the same parts of 21st Century Fox and that the Walt Disney Company in December agreed to buy for $52.4 billion. Walt Disney is almost its own country, really, if you think about it. So I mean, Comcast previously said it was preparing a superior offer. Let's keep going on, Lexi. Whether or not an appeal or stay is granted with an AT&T Time Warner legal victory, we would expect Comcast to bid all cash for the same Fox assets that Disney is trying to buy within BTIG and Field. He also said says look for a premium for Fox at least 25% and potentially 30% to 65.5 billion to 68 billion. Okay, and there's more news about possibly CBS, Viacom, Lionsgate, and AMC networks as possible targets for merger and acquisition, depending on who you ask. But the CBS Viacom thing is actually in something of a state of limbo. Okay, so let's jump right into this. Okay, Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, there's the good and there's the bad. This is good if you are, say, somebody who has stock in AT&T and Warner Brothers. This is good for AT&T. This is good for Time Warner because it gets AT&T a whole bunch more media for their streaming outlets and whatever else they want to use it for, along with all the characters and catalog of films and television shows that go along with Warner Brothers, which is so vast. They could start their own streaming service just like Disney. They'd be the only ones right now that could give Netflix a run for their money besides Disney if they decided tomorrow they're going to start their own streaming service. Wow. I mean, it's not surprising after hearing a lot about it, because it sounds like, even though, not to get too political here, a lot of this was brought on because of Trump and how he felt about it. The judge said right off the bat that nothing that Trump said or did or any of that was going to weigh into the proceedings, and he had I heard of two different reports. I heard 150 and another report said a 200-page document that he released that basically broke down all the reasons why that this merger wasn't illegal. And
Tom, that is fake news, and you know it. The dishonest media has been reporting fake news.
But this is basically what is called a lateral merger, which generally doesn't have...
is fake news, I'm telling you. No.
Doesn't have these kind of problems, especially with the DOJ stepping in. Now, the other part of this is that, I think you mentioned it within the story there, was that the judge said that he does not suggest that the DOJ try to appeal this because it could cause a lot of issues, considering this merger deadline is June 21st. And if the DOJ does decide to appeal this, it basically kills the merger altogether. And I'm assuming that would set in motion all kinds of lawsuits and everything else you could imagine. The DOJ, the only response they had given at this time was very vague, so they didn't really specify one way or the other if they were going to appeal, but they obviously weren't happy with the decision. And it is one of those kind of gray areas, because AT&T is such a big company, and Warner Brothers is such a big company, and DirecTV is such a big company, and all these companies are together now. Then you also have Comcast on the other end, that's where all this really started. You know, I mean, I've been saying today in like the Facebook group and stuff, now it begins and stuff like that. But really it began back then, but now it's actually a war is about to begin. This is it. This is like the Pearl Harbor of this media war we're going to start getting into, especially if the Fox merger goes forward with Disney. That's the next step going forward. It's just going to keep snowballing, So yeah, Matt, you're actually a little bit more into politics on your channel and stuff, even though I know that's been a bit of a shitty area for you lately. What's your take on all this?
I'm not happy, but that's strictly for selfish reasons. I want there to be, I want these characters to go back home to Disney. I do. I want them to go back home. But Comcast only cares about this as just because of the deal. But in terms of AT&T and Time Warner, these companies are all merging and getting bigger, all while arguing, well, we have to, so the little guy can compete against us in some fashion or another, which is just really not a good idea. But we can't really stop it. It's progress in that particular term. If it saves jobs, if I guess, because I'm more interested now at this point whether or not the Comcast versus Disney, right? Because like if the Trump administration pushes back with the DOJ, they're gonna probably lose. There's always this kind of sentiment where if the president makes a comment about something, it generally tends to go like the other direction. So in terms of these kind of rulings, so I don't think they're going to fight back. I think it's going to happen, and if it can keep people getting their jobs, cool. But every time this kind of, this is an $85 billion acquisition, or lateral merger, whatever you want to call it. Some people out there are going to end up losing their jobs as a result, and that's the worst part.
Well, there's always redundancies in these types of people. I'm sorry to say this, but there's always somebody who's going to suffer in this kind of environment, this kind of deal, whether it's redundant lining, whatever they want to call it. I mean, there's somebody loses their job. I mean, it's inevitable, and I hate saying that. I hope nobody does. Don't get me wrong. In this environment, I hope nobody has to lose their job over this. But I mean, I think it's to say this, but there's always somebody who's going to suffer in this kind of environment, this kind of deal, whether it's redundant lining, whatever they want to call it.
We have a little bit of
somebody loses their job. I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Don't get me wrong. In this environment, I hope nobody.
We've got a lot of. Hang on here, guys. Sorry about that.
I mean, I think it's. This is the problems with the live broadcast.
Of course it is. Okay, this is just. Hopefully that wasn't playing out to everybody, but I believe it was. Yeah, I was trying to overlay the chat and that didn't work out. So anyway, no, I kind of echo both you guys. I'm kind of scared, but also at the same time, it's inevitable. It was going to happen at some point. Basically, you can only compete for so long when you're this big in an industry, and when the next thing over the horizon is streaming services instead of actual cable networks, because even satellite is on its way out. So I mean, you got to imagine everybody's looking at what's coming forward, and I said they are kind of getting ready for a war. Disney and Fox. That's one of the reasons. The only reason people are happy, we're happy about Fox getting back the Fantastic Four and all the Marvel characters if that happens. Which, to kind of harken back to what you were saying, Matt, before, there is, as far as I'm under the understanding, if no matter who buys Fox, if Comcast were to buy Fox, the Marvel characters would revert back to Marvel. I've heard.
No, they won't.
So
they won't revert back to Marvel. It will. It stays underneath whoever buys it. But they could sell them back to Marvel if they wanted to take a little bit of an ease off of that catch, off of that.
Okay, well then
price.
The other thing I was curious about, because I don't know how the law works in this arena either, is that what if I don't know, can they own two movie studios like that, or is that?
Well, Disney would be in the exact same conversation.
Well, duh, that's true.
And the argument there generally boils down to different types of content.
I guess,
and
yeah.
it becomes a different banner. So it's like Warner Brothers owns New Line, it owns Dimension.
True.
Sony owns Screen Gems and a whole wide other variety of different little studios, and they just act as the distributor. And so that's kind of what's happening here. That's how they would argue it is. I mean, Disney owned Miramax. They still own Miramax. Right, so it's kind of like you can release under different labels.
True, yeah. So, but it's like, as far as I know, though, in the end of this, though, Comcast really isn't even that interested in Fox Studios. They want the television side of things, is what I've been hearing. Anyway, they're more interested in Sky and a few other things. There's what they're really after, so much more than Fox itself. I'm sure that's probably just, like frosting on top of the cake at that point.
Well, I think they want Sky because they want Sky News, which is really big in the UK. So, because that's part of the deal, is like the deal that Fox would make is that they would sell off all their entertainment assets to Disney, and I think originally Comcast wanted Sky. Like they don't really care much about Fox. I think because Comcast has got NBC Universal, which is Sci-Fi, as well as USA, and a bunch of other networks. And so they're fine, but I think they wanted Sky for the news.
Yeah, Sky gives them. I mean, Fox News is already broadcast in Ireland and in the UK, but Sky gives them like I think it'd be given more legitimacy because it's been around longer. It's more well known. It's yeah. But I'm I'm really hoping this doesn't throw a wrench in the works. I mean, like I said, media mergers, but the bad thing is, like I said, and I think you said this, Matt. I mean, like I said, I'm approaching it from a very selfish thing. I want to see the Fantastic Four back. I want to see the X-Men back with Disney. I want to see Silver Surfer back with Disney. But you said, I mean, what are the chances that they turn around and say, "Oh, do you want to license these characters?"
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is there, or if Comcast sat there and said to Disney, "Look, if we win, we'll license you back these characters because we know that's what you want." But at the same time, though, Disney also wants Fox for, again, their television, their content. Because here's the thing: if someone has said, and I don't necessarily believe this, but they've said this is a battle for Hulu, right?
Yeah.
And because if Disney gets Fox, then they get a controlling stake. Now Comcast, NBC, they obviously have interest in Hulu. So the question is, then would they get the controlling stake in Hulu? And I'm just like, I look at Hulu and I'm like, is since when did Hulu get beer flavored nipples? Like, I've had the service now for probably 8 years, 8 or 9 years now. I've had the service. I don't know why. I think I just keep paying for it out of habit. They have some stuff on there that I watch, but at the same time, I'm like, the way I just don't care. It's Hulu. But it has jumped up in terms of subscriber count. A couple of years ago, it was at 8 million. Now it's at 20, and that's like in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So it has doubled. It's doubled, which means that there's value in that service, especially as more and more people.
I think I lost Matt.
Yeah, I think we both did. Okay, yeah, I think what he was going to say is more and more people subscribe to the channel.
I'm here.
There he is. Okay,
I'm here. It's my fucking microphone cable. I moved and it popped out of its.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, it popped out.
But no, Hulu
at
one time was probably the secondary runner-up to Netflix for a while there, it looked like. But now the competition's going to get stiff. But finish up now, Matt. But yeah, sorry.
No, well, what I was saying though is a couple years ago they had 8 million. They had 8 million members. Right now they got 20 million, like in a couple of years. So it's jumped up quite a bit. Like it's now increased itself to a place where it might be considered valuable. Like,
Well, Hulu gets a lot of television the next day. That's the thing. A lot of people are using that as in the part of the cord cutting process.
No, that's true. But the problem, though, the big problem with that boils down to why they may get it the next day. Some shows are limiting how many episodes are available. So if you don't watch week to week, you are going to miss week to week.
Yeah.
And that just pisses me off, and then I just don't watch those shows. I'm like, I can go pirate them, if I want. And that's the thing. You're driving me to pirate. Well, no, I say you're driving me to piracy, allegedly, if this is how you want to play it.
Midnight's Edge does not endorse the practice of piracy. But
no, I'm not endorsing piracy, but I'm pointing out.
We understand why some people would do it.
Yeah, the legitimacy. There's legitimacy behind the reasons why people do it. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this stuff is locked across borders.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of where we're headed, is finally an open market. Well, I know probably not. They're going to keep locking it down region to region because there's money to be made.
Yeah. Well, right. I used to download episodes of Top Gear actually like months before they would air here. So I understand the reasons.
I did that. I did that with Downton Abbey.
I would say I wouldn't admit to either one of those, you guys.
Top Gear was fucking.
It's
awesome
not that part. It's just that you just incriminated yourself on live YouTube.
It's technically it's not illegal to download.
Well,
that's
no,
that's the. I have no. It's not illegal.
It's the sharing part.
I have my DVDs of Top Gear, and I'm allowed to have a backup.
And I do own all seasons of Downton Abbey, and I've watched the show like 3 times.
Plus, that was 10 years ago. I mean, geez,
Yeah, I'm not saying that right now. I'm downloading a copy of Jurassic Park or World.
Boy, you guys got real defensive though, quick.
I will defend piracy from the aspect of it gets. There's a reason why people do it, and it's instead of filling the need.
I honestly,
filling that void.
Yeah, I don't think it's as destructive on the industry as they like to pretend it is. The ones who get hurt are the little guys. the independents and that kind of stuff. Those are the ones who are actually getting hurt by it. If not, though, that also does bring them in a new audience too. Though, don't get me wrong. I think that's what you're probably going to say, but
well, no, because there was that The Man from Earth, that indie film about the guy who basically can't die. He's immortal, and he's telling the story to his friends as he's getting ready to move on with his life. And it's a really good movie, and it got pirated, and that's how people found it. And then that popularity sold many copies of it, and also got the movie put onto Netflix. And so that's how I saw it. Or it was one of those servicers or whatever. And then it's like, so piracy can in fact help people get exposure. But I mean, they look at it like it's this, like you're shitting on the industry. People who pirate it and like then resell it for profit. Yeah, I would argue that's definitely
right. Well, to bring it back around to the AT&T type situation, I wonder how much more this is going to make it harder for piracy, because a lot of these companies are already cracking down on it pretty hard.
You just got to know where to go.
Oh, I know, and there's ways to do it, but I'm not going to say how, because then I'm going to be accused of advocating it. But I'm just trying to tread that line. But
the thing is, as it becomes easier and easier and easier to get access to this type of content, it becomes the desire for a wider variety is there, and that's probably one of the reasons why these companies are doing what they're doing, because in their mind maybe it's easier to just purchase the content rather than create new content. And we're in this we're in this world right now where television, Netflix and Hulu, like these shows, Amazon, they're making these shows that are better than anything we're seeing on network TV, because they're not bound by the same restrictions. Sometimes cinemas, yeah.
Especially when it comes to things like Cobra Kai, as far as I'm concerned, for example.
Yeah, Cobra Kai. I've only seen the first episode, but from what I saw, it was great.
Oh boy, you need to get into that. Even if you're a mild Karate Kid fan.
No, I liked what I saw. I have YouTube, and I pay for YouTube Red, and everything, and so I need to watch it. It's just it's because I haven't, and this is where YouTube Red is stumbling, is I haven't forced myself to like pay attention to the service. I just
outside of that, there isn't really anything worth a shit. That's the problem.
No, they did just release a new game. Not a new game, a new TV show. I got an email for today. I'm like, but I don't know what it is, and I don't care. But look at Netflix, the way Netflix operates, how much content they create. I mean, really, everyone is just trying to play catch up to them.
Right. So basically, though, this is kind of a wait and see game, because like we said, if the DOJ decides they want to turn around and appeal it, then it's dead. Because 21st was the deadline, and at that moment in time, everything is going to go into upheaval. I don't see that happening, though. This is just one of those things that it was probably inevitable to begin with, and I think I said that a while ago. It was going to probably happen no matter what. Eventually, it's one of those things that just we're going to see. Like I said, it's the beginning. It's just the beginning. We're going to see the Fox merger deal. We're going to see other companies start to do the same kind of thing. It's inevitable.
What also goes to show you just kind of where the state of entertainment is right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the next war, really.
They're calling this peak TV now. I mean, there's just so much out there, and it's a battle for eyeballs, really.
No, well, I mean, as a full-time YouTuber, I completely understand that. And you're always up against a system. Like being an independent creator, is getting more and more difficult because it's becoming more and more restrictive. And as a result, it's kind of like, what a couple of years ago was kind of like this wild west, anything goes, and gold rush sort of situation. The landscape has changed quite a bit. And so this is where we kind of find ourselves in this moment in time. And I'm hoping that we end up getting to see, like a lot of the cream rise to the top and everything. But I think that, what we're going to be in the next 10 years, I'd argue that movie theaters are going to start closing. They're not going to go away, but they're not going to be able to maintain.
I'm not going to lie. I'm an advocate for streaming. I'm to that point where I'm sick of going to the movies too. I'm sure a lot of you guys out in the chat
I'm
probably
not
feels-
sick of going.
I love the experience, but I hate the people that I have to deal with. I hate the prices of popcorn. I hate, the parking, the travel, all that crap is not always definitely worth seeing a movie that half the time disappoints me anymore. Because it seems like they're spending more and more money on this. It's like we're getting back to the late 80s, early 90s again, until they started innovating a bit more, when we just started getting a bunch of dreck. And I mean, yeah, there was some good stuff in there, don't get me wrong, but it was like that renaissance of the 80s was coming to an end. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of feel like we're at that same point again, to where we're getting this overbloated, bunch of movies left and right that are just big, huge money. Just like I said, in the end of the 80s there, where they spent all this money on these big bombs that just kept coming out left and right. And it was like, I'm waiting for that next thing to get me excited to go back to the cinema again. And I thought Star Wars was going to be it. And it wasn't. The only thing I'm excited for anymore is like a Marvel movie, or potentially something like, Incredibles 2. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm going to go see Jurassic World. I've lost my taste for it, really. And a lot of it, like I said, is not so much the experience of going to the theater, but the surrounding experience, and dealing with the kids that won't shut up or have their phones out or think they know everything about the movie. It's like when I went to It, I was about to turn around on these one kids behind me and say, look, if I wanted to listen to the commentary, I'd have waited till it came out on Blu-ray instead of coming to the theater, because I'm here to watch the movie, not listen to you guys shoot the shit. And that's what you seem to run into anymore.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's where I'm an asshole about that, though, because I spent so many years working at movie theaters. So I'm a big asshole about that. I have straight up.
Well, I'm one of the first people that'll say shut up, but no, I'm just saying it's just the point of having to deal with it, or people dragging their kids to an R-rated midnight showing or something. Just the petty bullshit. I know, but it all adds up. And I'm sorry, I don't feel like taking out a loan on my car to, get popcorn and soda when I go to the movies either. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the experience of going to a movie has actually gotten a lot worse. I
remember when my parents used to be able to drop me off with $5 and I could go to the movie plus get a popcorn and soda. You know what I mean? Kids can't do that anymore.
That was back in the
Even
day.
still, like, it should only be like $10 in compare. You know what I mean? The inflation on movies is crazy, and it is compared to everything else.
No, I know exactly. I mean, I know how much it costs. I know how much profit there is in popcorn. But the thing is, like, these studios, when they say, like, whenever I hear these or I see these articles that are like, Disney wanted 65% for The Last Jedi and people are upset, I'm like, dude, at my drive-in, we were paying like upwards of like 80% for. I was going to say,
yeah, Lucas wanted 90% of the prequels. I remember.
Yeah, and like he got it. So I don't know where this fucking argument's coming from. And usually the drive a better deal than full on cinemas. So I just kind of look at it like, what the fuck, like you bitches. I'm like 65%. You bitches get off light. I'm like.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have employees to pay and they have everything else. I mean, when I worked at the theater in Pasadena, where the name $3 Theater comes from, we charged $3 and we gave 33% to the studio. So every ticket there was $1 that was sold. $1 went to the studio, and we would service 200,000 people a year. Came into our theater, and so it's like there's a profit there. The concession stands, but yeah, I mean, people like to go. People will always justify paying for entertainment, but now that 4K TVs are getting pretty cheap, and you can do HDR streaming on Netflix for for $12 a month. But now with net neutrality, I have no fucking idea what's going to happen with that.
Right, that's another big thing.
And so it's just like, okay, well, I don't really need to go. Like, what is it? I think this month, the Last Jedi, I think, is now on Netflix.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have Netflix anymore, so
how can you do this as a? Oh, okay, that I get. Don't you have anyone you can share it with?
Not offhand, but there hasn't been anything that I've had the time to watch on there, so I really haven't missed it all that much.
Oh man, Luke Cage season 2.
Oh, I want to catch up, but yeah, no, I got to catch up on Defenders and all that shit.
Voltron Legendary Defenders is good. I've been watching that. That's really good.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that's really good. I have friends who are like super fucking into it, and I just haven't sat down to watch it yet. I know they're on like season 5.
Yeah, I've only just started season 1, so.
Well, when I was at Comic-Con last year at the Ghostbusters panel, they had the Voltron panel in the room behind me, and like, holy shit, those fuckers were like happy for what they saw. Like, there was like, I'm trying to listen to Ivan Reitman talk, and all I'm hearing is like Voltron through the wall, and I'm like, you bastards, I'm filming.
Yeah, but anyway, we're getting a little bit off track here.
Okay, yeah, to get well, just as related to the theaters, and like I said, we might as well get to questions now too. But Tylon Ranger asks, do you think the rising ticket prices could have anything to do with? Look at these box office numbers. Our movies are great since it's not about tickets sold. Sorry for crinkling the tinfoil. Well, I think more so it's just that they figured out that the summer wasn't the only time, summer and Christmas weren't the only times that Americans will go see movies, as long as you put something out there they want to see. And with franchise fever, we've gotten just oversaturated with $100 million movies.
Well, the thing is, though, we've learned though that these movies can be hits.
Oh yeah,
in off-season months. So it's no longer the 4th of July, Memorial Day,
right?
Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Instead of getting 15, 20 big movies, or instead of getting 10, we're getting 15, 20, then we're getting 30, 40. Now it's getting crazy.
I like to harken back to the summer 2008. So 10 years ago, this
right.
summer, we were seeing, this was the first time we were seeing 3 big releases a week, right? And I mean, like, go and just look at the release schedule of the summer of 2008, and it's insane how much shit was coming out.
That's what they were doing. They were starting to cannibalize themselves in the summertime because they were all releasing their big $200-300 or $200 million movies all at once in the summertime, and they started to figure out if they quit competing with each other so much. But now it's go ahead. Sorry,
it's like Hellboy 1, right, came out in April 2004, which was a good month because it was opening around the same time as Kill Bill Volume 2, and there wasn't much else out at the time. Hellboy 2: The Golden Army released in June or July of 2008, and it was up against that summer you had Iron Man and Kung Fu Panda, and fucking Tropic Thunder was getting ready to come out. You Don't Mess with the Zohan, a ton of other movies. The Dark Knight that summer too was right on the same time as Dark Knight, and a bunch of other films were coming out that summer that I think just destroyed it, and which killed the third movie from happening. Whereas now, they dropped, what was it? Last summer was like the lowest ticket sales 17 years, right? Or last year as a whole. But then, movies in June and July that should do well are crashing and burning, but they drop it in September, a traditional dead month, and it makes 300 million. It's like, and then what, we get $1 billion film out of February. They can do this at any time now. And the thing is, they need to space it out. That was one of the big problems with Solo, was I think the 6 months in between the two films, and also Last Jedi not being as well received in the long run,
right.
is what kind of hurt. So Memorial Day weekend was a shit weekend.
Excuse me, sorry.
Because people aren't going as much anymore.
What do you call it? Garrett Groover said, do you think physical media, Blu-rays, etc., will ever go away?
Well, we do have a show that we do actually dedicate to Blu-ray and home media on the main channel called Talking Blue, where we do talk about the subject quite a bit. But I do believe, I'll be 100% honest with you, I think 4K Blu-ray is probably going to be the last physical media we'll ever see again. From here on out, I think the studios are going to concentrate completely on downloading and streaming. Will it go away anytime soon? Oh, no. We'll have DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that for probably the next 15, 20 years or better, maybe, if that. But it's not going to go into... Anyway, it's not going to go away anytime soon. But I have a feeling these will be the last physical... kind of like how CD was the last physical version of music we got. And vinyl made a comeback, but as far as,
Well, there's been a couple other formats. I mean, there's DVD audio, and there was Super HD.
But none of them really caught on.
None of them caught. Yeah, none of them caught on.
But they're still disc based. My point is after this, like how music has kind of gone away. I mean, there's still disc based audio out there, but I don't think we're going to get a new format. Tomorrow we're not going to get some brand new technology that's physical media for music, of any kind, video, any kind from here on out. I don't think. I think 4K is probably the end. The only possibility is if they come up with, holographic, or when we get to 3D TVs where you don't have to have glasses, maybe there'll be one more upgrade on a disc-based format, but I doubt it, because by then we'll probably be all streaming. But what do you guys think? Sorry, I got real long-winded there.
I really hope 3D doesn't make its way home. I don't care about it. I don't care about it without glasses.
I love 3D.
You fine. You can have it. It's been such a blight on Hollywood that it is. I don't care. I saw Solo in 3D, and I was just like, eh. I mean, it looked good.
It's not one of the. That's not a movie I'd turn around and would reference and say, "Go see that in 3D."
No,
now,
the only movie
Guardians of the Galaxy or Ant-Man, something like that, I would, yeah. But no.
I saw Guardians 2 in 3D because they had a 3D double feature for both that I went to, and it looked really good. I think
the IMAX is amazing.
I didn't see an IMAX, but I will say the opening shot of Guardians 2 in 3D was pretty goddamn phenomenal. That opening shot of Kurt Russell in the car. But the only two movies I've ever said were better in 3D was Avatar in 3D IMAX. And Dread. Those are the only two.
I got a few that I'd add. I got a bit longer list, but I get what you're saying. I understand it's not the more popular thing, and I would have no issues if they scaled back on it, because to me that's where it kind of took away making it special, is where every other movie was 3D. So it was like, who gave a shit? I was happy at home because I have 100 some 3D Blu-rays now to choose from, but now they're stopped making them in the US for the most part outside of Warner Brothers. I got to import them all the time. So it is what it is, and I've invested in my 3D.
Now you know why you're broke and you can't.
Well, this was a lot of this was when I got it when I got my TV and stuff. But yeah, because there's hardly been any 3D releases lately. Most of them have been overseas and movies I don't give a shit about. Like, I still haven't seen the sequel to Jumanji. That's one of them, for instance.
I haven't either. I haven't got around to watching it yet. There's so many movies I haven't seen. That's the thing. Like, when you figure when you're a parent, you have time to watch. You ain't got time to do shit. You ain't got time to do shit.
Oh, I know what you mean, man.
Yeah, well, Garrett Groover actually has a follow-up question. Are there too many streaming services? Yes, there are.
No, there's not.
It's going to be a streaming war, and that's going to be part of what I'm going to call a media war. Yeah.
But the thing is for me is that I'm a sports fan, and for me cord cutting would be impossible, because to watch the Yankees I would need MLB TV, and then that's $12.99 a month, and that's all the blackouts. But then I would have to get NFL Sunday Ticket to watch football, and then I would have to get NBA TV. Then I would have to get NHL Center Ice, and by the time you do that, you're at the cost of cable, really, or even more so. And then it's on top of the internet too. I mean, so there's really only room here for about maybe. Not counting sports packages, but it's really only room for like maybe 3 major streaming packages.
Well, you brought this up. Oh, sorry, Rob.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, you brought this up in a previous video where you had stated that this is going to turn out like, people are going to have to like pick their favorite, like a sports team almost, to where it's like, okay, I'm going to have to go with Netflix or Disney because they have what I want, or you know what I mean? It's going to get to that point where you're only going to be able to pick 2 or 3 because that's all you can afford, like you said, especially with prices going up all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I was listening to Grace Randolph today. I guess willingly listening to Grace Randolph because her coverage of the whole AT&T merger stuff has been actually pretty good. I've learned a lot that I didn't quite know yet. And so I give her credit there. Other things we can go back and forth over. But she made a comment about like other companies with the streaming service, and she mentioned Warner's. And then it makes me laugh because nobody remembered that Warner Brothers for a period pulled all of their content off of Netflix because they were starting their own $10 a month streaming service. Right? No one really remembers that. It went away. Well, no, that's the thing. It's like the DC universe is something I'm interested in because it's gonna have all the animated shows, all the animated movies, and the new content. And I'm like, oh, cool. You're telling me I can stream like, and I know Batman Beyond's been on Netflix, but I think it's off there. I think it's off now. Like, but I can go and I can watch Batman Beyond. I can go back and watch, Batman the Animated Series, Superman. I can go start recatching up on these shows. That's cool with me, right? Like, I want that. I'm down for that. Plus all the other content I haven't seen. And I can start making my way through that type of stuff. So in that particular service, I'm okay with that. Disney, I'm going to get because I've got a kid and it's fucking Disney. So if all of their Pixar films are on there, all of their old movies are on there, all of their shows, well, maybe hopefully not every single one of their shows, because quite frankly, I don't give a shit about half of it.
You want to watch iCarly.
I want to watch Wizards of Waverly Place, goddammit. Or Girl Meets World.
Right.
Or hell, if they have all the shows on there, if they bring back like fucking Disney afternoons, like if they had all the seasons like of Tailspin and like Goof Troop, I'd be like,
DuckTales,
Darkwing Duck, DuckTales. I mean, they have the new DuckTales, obviously, but like they're gonna do all that, and I think like that's gonna be reason enough to get the service. The wealth of content that they have, plus the new Marvel and Star Wars content they're making for that. And I have a feeling Star Wars is going to hit its stride when it comes to episodic television.
Right.
I have a feeling it's going to be like, they're. Okay, good.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to agree with Jon Favreau. What he's doing is.
Just quickly, Tylon Ranger wants to know what hockey team do I follow. Out of curiosity, I follow the New York Rangers. So,
Joshua Nystrand had a good question that went along with the topic of the video. Do you think there will be any more delays regarding the Disney Fox acquisition in the wake of the Time Warner AT&T acquisition? Do you think that will be delayed too? What about Paramount Viacom? Now, will it delay them? No. What's going to delay anything that has to do with Disney and Fox is going to all have to come from Comcast now, because if anything, this merger being able, them dropping the DOJ, or losing the case, the DOJ losing the case basically opens up the floodgates now, and Comcast is going to come hard with an offer and try and do everything they can to get their hands on Fox even more so now.
Phrasing.
Yeah, right. I know it's a lot of hard-hitting phrases in there, but no. And then Disney, on the other hand, they're going to have to come back with a much better offer probably, and it's going to take some sweetening in the deal. But who knows what's going to happen? And as far as Viacom and Paramount, Viacom and Paramount are already in the same company, aren't they? I think you mean the CBS Viacom.
Yeah, Viacom.
That is a whole nother can of fucking worms. You can follow some of our videos from the last few months if you want to get caught up on that whole mess. But as far as that going through without any hitches, that'll help that once and if it actually happens. That's basically where we're at right now. It'll help these things go along quicker, but now it opens up things for a little bit more of a war between Comcast and Disney right now, I think. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, the bidding war is going to happen, but I got into this with somebody on Twitter. They were like, "Oh, Comcast is offering $60 billion in cash." I'm like, no, they're only offering $32 billion in cash, and the rest is going to be in stock.
Right.
Still a cash offer, and that $30 billion is going to look good for instant pay to the shareholders of that company. But at the same time, Disney's coming in. Disney's going to offer it more stock, or they're going to offer actual cash.
Right.
To meet it, but I would still bet on the House of Mouse in terms of stock.
Right. Well, not only that, there's taxes and other things involved with actual cash. And then, like you said, the whole thing with the stock in the long run, Disney stock is probably worth a hell of a lot more than cash up front in the future. So I guess it all depends on how the board wants to vote on it. I think they're supposed to vote July, I think it's 21st, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
I thought it was like July 10th or something.
It could be earlier. Yeah, it could be 12th or something like that. Yeah, it could be 10th. Yeah.
The Disney, the Fox board is supposed to vote on whether or not to approve the sale to Disney.
Yeah. So until then, we're going to see a lot of whining and dining, I guess.
Hey, come on over. But anyway, any more questions?
Lady.
Foxy lady. LOL. What?
I thought
we have to give girls Chinese tickle.
Oh, Jesus.
So anyway.
Okay, I'm trying to find a question here, guys. I'm going back up.
Garrett Gruber, another good question. Do you think Star Power still sells movies? No, I don't.
Not like it
Take
used
a
to,
look.
no, yeah.
Now, there wasn't really a bar in that.
Well, none of that. No, I don't think that. I think what was a star was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I mean the franchises are what's
Well, that's
selling
what we've
people in
changed to,
movies.
yeah. And that happened, yeah, at the point where you started seeing guys like Will Smith and Johnny Depp and all them getting like $100 million paydays for movies.
There are some still movie stars. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
like George Clooney, Johnny Depp, and Will Smith, and Julia Roberts. But they're getting fewer and farther between. The franchise sells the thing. Sorry to step on that, Matt. Go ahead.
No. It's no. You're right though. It's the franchises will be bigger than. I mean, look at Chris Hemsworth, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows him as Thor. His movies that aren't Thor do terribly. Right, but movies where he's Thor and he's doing the comedy, like is what he wanted to do, and you get $700 million, worldwide, which is why and then Thor was still really good in Avengers: Infinity War. So that's the thing is like, so sometimes it does, but it also depends on the character and what goes along with it.
Yeah, I remember when Jim Carrey got $20 million for cable guy Steven Anderson said, yeah, that's what you had this big explosion in the 90s and early 2000s where you had all these big stars getting all kinds of money, and the studios were like, we're spending way too much money on the stars. And then they started spending the money on the budgets, and that's where we started getting all the franchises, basically. And like you guys were saying, things like Lord of the Rings kind of kicked that off. Of course, the Marvel Universe itself kind of kicked that off. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't a huge star at the time. I mean, he got paid, barely above scale for that?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, but there's a guy who made the most of his second chance, really.
Exactly,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
But I mean, that's the thing, is you're able to rebuild yourself or build yourself into a star off these franchises. But like Matt was just saying that, you don't always, they don't always do anything outside of these franchises. Look at The Rock. He's another one that's like hit and miss. None of his films really bomb necessarily, but he's only had a handful of really big hits. But he's popular. Everybody knows who he is because he does 12 movies a year. So
Yeah,
he must be cheap. But I
and
don't know.
he'll do all these movies and everything else, and then he'll, you look at like Rampage, it did okay. San Andreas did okay, but there's like enough to warrant a sequel. This Skyscraper movie, I'm like, sure, I like Die Hard.
Right? That's what I was thinking.
And that's the thing. They're not even trying to shy away from that fact. And I think
the ads might as well just say, if you like Die Hard, then you'll like Rock and Die Hard. They should just call it that.
It's like if Under Siege was Die Hard on a boat, then this is Die Hard in a building.
Die Hard on a boat in a building.
That's actually what I did a thing, this contest for Ain't It Cool News back in 2008. So it's been like 10 years, where it was like do this Steven Seagal fan film. And to win something or another. And I decided to instead of shooting a film, I decided to be like a behind the scenes documentary for like an upcoming movie, that I was the director on this movie called I forget what it was called, but it basically was like, I just drew storyboards of like Steven Seagal, and I'm all like, Under Siege was Die Hard on a boat. Under Siege 2 was Die Hard in a train. This is Die Hard in an.
We lost you again,
like
there,
tons
Matt.
of little jokes in there.
It was Die Hard in a what?
God damn it, you guys! Get better internet.
To yell at my internet provider because they're the only ones. They got a little monopoly here. So no, but it is true. Let's get another question though. Just a question: why would AT&T merge with Time Warner? Wasn't their lesson learned from AOL and Time Warner merger from AT&T? Here's the thing with that merger: it was probably 20 years too soon. Or at the time, AOL. Okay, there's another part of this though. See, AOL was like, I think, on the verge of going bankrupt at that moment, weren't they? And didn't they kind of lie, if I remember correctly, to Warner Brothers, and that's kind of how they got out of the whole deal in the end, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you remember any of this, guys, but
I am unfamiliar with.
Rob might remember.
Yeah, Warner. I don't remember all the particulars, but AOL.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I don't know the exacts. Yeah, it was a while ago, but that got a little dicey there for a little bit, I think.
Yeah. I remember John Stewart saying about how they merged, AT&T merged with Time Warner, and just and what benefits did we get other than a bouillon cube sized preview of The Hot Chick starring Rob Schneider. Used to, when movie trailers were an inch and a half by 2 inches. Oh man, there's a far cry from what we got now. But there was a big. Well, it's a different media landscape now. That's the thing. It's much different.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I can do a Bugs Bunny impression, Doc.
Yeah. What's up, Dak?
I don't know if mine was very good.
Watch the scope.
I always did a little bit better, Daffy.
You're despicable.
That's about the best I can do on that. Yeah. Anyway, well, get used to seeing the Warner Brothers characters all over the place again, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's a benefit.
They're going to be selling everything.
Oh, I love
Buy your AT&T phone today, Doc.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love the Warner Brothers cartoons, though. Oh, do I love those cartoons.
Especially if they brought back, aren't they bringing back?
Yes, they're doing they are doing Animaniacs, and they're also bringing back Looney Tunes shorts. They're going to be in various forms, but yeah.
Can you do a Patrick Star impression? No, I don't know.
Patrick Stewart, maybe? Is that what you mean?
Patrick Stewart. Engage.
Shut up, Wesley. Matt,
did you not pick up one single piece of trash?
Where's Space Jam 2? I think that was a big bunch of shit. I don't know what the hell that was all about. I really don't think there was a Space Jam 2. I don't think we were as close to a Space Jam 2 as the world wanted to think we were at that time. But yeah.
Was that judge paid off?
No, I don't think so. Like I said,
that's a bribe. That's illegal. Yeah. That's a felony.
No, I think what happened here was, like I said in the beginning of this, if you didn't get to hear that part, this was a lateral merger, which means that basically what I'm saying is Warner Brothers isn't a communication company. AT&T is. AT&T isn't a movie studio. Warner Brothers is. So they don't conflict with each other, so they wouldn't be competition in that sense. So that's what's called a lateral merger. So they're not creating any kind of monopoly or, that's kind of what it boils down to, I guess, is the easiest way of putting it, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Steven Anderson, will AT&T play nice with Comcast Universal regarding Harry Potter Land? I'm sick of hearing about Harry Potter. I am not a Harry Potter fan at all. So, I mean, and I really don't get that there's a Harry Potter theme park. I really don't. Really? It's that big?
I was never a Potter fan. It was after my time, yeah. Morality124. Hi, Tom. Do you think we are on a trend with these increasing mergers towards state like the telephone company was in the 70s and earlier before the government broke them up? The DOJ seems to think so. No, I think there's more than enough companies to compete, but I think what we've kind of all been kind of getting to this whole thing is it's going to be almost like a format war again, but it's going to be with all these various communication companies teaming up with media companies, like television and film studios and stuff like that. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. And I think Rob was kind of more onto something with, like I said, we're going to get to a point where you're going to have so many different streaming options, but you're only going to be able to pick a few of your favorites to be able to, for the average person to be able to afford it. It's going to be a nightmare, but yeah.
Thailand Ranger, Midnight's Edge After Dark. Besides Marvel, what properties from Fox do you want to see Disney get a hold of? Orville, Alien, Predator, Simpsons, or Family Guy?
None.
Yes. I don't know.
I'll be honest. Outside of the Marvel stuff, I could really care less. I'm not a. People think we're Disney shills here at Midnight's Edge, but we've never even been invited to a screening, and there's probably a reason for that. But
been too far away.
No, not just that, but we're assholes about every movie that comes out. It seems like, but
you are. I'll be honest, you guys.
I want to see Disney acquire Red. How about that one? Lamont, you big dummy. So, what's going on with Indiana Jones 5? Nobody cares. That's what's going on.
It's still happening as far as I know. Shooting next year, right?
Yeah, shooting next year for July 2020.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Release, and I'm just kind of
even
like,
if they got to prop Harrison Ford up and stick somebody's hand up the back of his shirt and make him mumble through the whole thing, they'll make it happen. It's Disney.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's Lucas, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with this.
I hope this Willow 2 news is real. I think you were saying something about it, Matt, weren't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, like what it is I think that when they went to Ron Howard to get him to come in,
yeah,
I think the subject of Willow 2 came up.
Yeah,
and I think the subject was more like, hey, listen, you scratch our back, like, what do you want, sort of thing, like,
right.
What, you know. And I think he's always maybe wanted to do a sequel to Willow.
Who doesn't?
It's not exactly. But the thing with it is I think it was all dependent on how much Solo earned.
Fucking Mad Mardigan can ride again.
So I think as a result of Solo not earning as much as they would have hoped, but I still think we are going to get a Solo sequel. I still think that's going to happen.
If that happens and we don't get Willow 2, I will be pissed. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
I just want to say something about Solo. Is I cannot stand this whole thing about how people are saying, well. And when you say, like, even Solo or even Last Jedi, when they say, "Oh, these movies are subpar," oh well, what do you expect? It's only Star Wars. I'm like, really? That's your fucking excuse? It's only Star Wars? I'm like, you should expect these movies to be better than what they are. And like, it's nice to know that you'll go see any piece of shit they project up on the screen just as long as it has the Star Wars label. I mean, that's pretty insulting.
Well,
yeah.
you don't know it's a piece of shit until you see it.
Well, there's that too. But
and,
I mean, I remember
at the same time, can you really trust critics?
Well, there you go. I remember when Willow came out, all the critics were like, "Oh, it's just a Star Wars ripoff." Yeah, it has echoes of things that are Star Wars. That's because it's all the hero's journey. You know, it's the same thing that he always pulls from.
Willow is a ripoff of everything from
Lord of the Rings to
Gulliver's Travels. To Moses, the story of Moses.
It always felt to me like it was a ripoff, not a ripoff, but it felt somewhat in the same universe as Red Sonja.
Okay, well,
like I love Red Sonja.
There was a lot of that sword and sorcery, yeah.
At that time, there was a lot that was happening in terms of these kind of like fantasy films,
right?
That were like really kind of gritty, barbarian type shit. That I honestly would love to see us go back to that. Like,
right?
Where's that crap?
Well,
like, that
Willow flopped. I think Willow almost did as bad or worse than Howard the Duck, but most people don't make fun of Willow because it's a good fucking movie.
Whoa. You can never say an unkind word about Howard the Duck. Though.
I know. I love Howard the Duck. Don't get me wrong. But it is notoriously one of the biggest flops in history.
Leah Thompson she has apparently pitched a Howard the Duck sequel.
I'll go for it. I heard something about that. Yeah.
I just saw an article about that yesterday. Like, I was going to cover it, but then like I got really busy. And I'm like, wait, like, I got to go back and find the article. But I'm like, look, Leah Thompson, if she wants to come back and recreate that scene where she gets into bed with Howard and she's just in her panties, I would be fine with that. I would be fine with that. Even at her age now, I would be fine with that.
Oh,
like
Joshua Nystrom has another good. Oh, go ahead.
No, we're just reminiscing about Leah Thompson from the 80s.
I know. Do you guys think that Disney could trade some Fox assets in exchange for the Hulk Solo rights, or do you think they will straight up buy it back? That's interesting because of the Comcast situation.
And that's even more interesting because Disney doesn't have Fox doesn't have the Hulk.
Maybe they'll get in a room and go, "What do you want? What the fuck do you want?
Universal.
Give us the Hulk. You can have this little thing. Let us buy Fox straight out, blah, blah, blah." They might work out a deal, but I doubt that. At least it won't happen up front. I think, aren't they kind of just waiting out some kind of rights deal? Is that what's kind of going on? Because as long as they don't have Hulk in the title, they can use the Hulk all they want, correct? If that's the understanding I have.
I know he can't be the main character.
It can't be a Hulk solo picture. That's the thing.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing, like, from Thor Ragnarok, Avengers, Infinity War, and whatever the next Avengers is supposed to be this like Hulk trilogy of an arc of his character. That's what Mark Ruffalo was saying for a while.
Well, there might be some truth to him dying. You never know.
Yeah.
And then they might do that just to piss off Universal too. What if they do kill the Hulk? You're like, you motherfuckers, because I'm sure they get a little bit of that.
I want Marvel to get the rights back to Namor. That's what I want.
That's never going to, like, they're never going to do a Namor.
Well, just to use him in some capacity. Namor,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Aquaman's supposed to get a trailer this week, so
I heard about a little bit about it.
Help, Aquaman! Hey, let her go. Or
somebody said it wasn't a DC movie. They don't know what happened because it's bright and it's kind of funny, and it doesn't look like any of the other movies, I guess.
Oh, Aquaman?
Yeah, that's what the trailer.
The sad thing is that the time of Zack Snyder is over with the DCEU. And, I mean, that's a good end of. Yeah, it's a sad thing. 100% it's a sad thing. 100% a sad thing. It is.
Because
totally
you're a
for everybody.
BBS lover.
I'm a BBS extend. No, if you're gonna say that, you better say it right.
Lover.
Extended cut.
To me, there's no difference. There's no difference to me.
How can? Oh my fucking god!
I've watched them both.
Serious?
A couple times now, and no, the theatrical version.
Batman vs Superman now with extra DLC.
Like I don't even. I don't
need more of that
go
garbage.
Down that pathway. Like I don't. Wow.
Hack Snyder is correct, sir. Thank you, Garrett Grover.
Sonic's stance. If they can make another Hulk movie,
I hated Snyder Man.
What would you guys want to see?
Oh, okay.
Also, what are the odds of She-Hulk in the MCU?
Wasn't there a rumor about She-Hulk supposedly popping up somewhere now?
Yeah,
that was supposed to be a thing. There was supposed to be there's rumors about this kind of shit all the time, but it's like,
of course.
I think they're just avoiding anything other than just the Hulk, and because of like with the deal they've got with Universal, and yeah, I think that if Comcast buys this, if they win, they could sell them back everything, because that's a huge fucking. They're going to need to recoup some of those costs, and Disney's like, look, we'll give you we'll give you a couple billion for these characters, that. But at the same time, and this is weird.
But here's the thing. Okay,
I almost want to see.
Do you know this
Universal
for sure though?
do.
Because I just want to interject this real quick, because I was under the impression, unless they buy the whole studio lock, stock, and barrel, like Disney was doing or whatever, like that, or Disney wouldn't even. Okay, let me start that. Even though this is live, Disney wouldn't even be getting Marvel back themselves if they didn't own Marvel in the first place, if they bought Fox, because of this deal, is unless you're buying the entire deal, the entire Fox entity, then the rights wouldn't revert. And since the Murdochs are keeping Fox News and whatever else they're keeping, that would negate it being the entire entity, and hence the rights would revert back to Marvel at that point, no matter who bought it.
I have not heard that argument at all.
Okay, that's what I had heard. So that's
what I heard, and this is, again, I'm pulling from Grace Randolph, as I said, she's good in these particular areas, I think, is that the what she had said essentially was, if they were to try to sell the properties off from Fox, they couldn't do that.
That I know.
But if the whole company is purchased, then when it goes to the next owner can do with it what they want.
But that's what I'm getting at, is the whole company isn't being purchased if they're not buying those left-out entities.
The whole company. Well, no, but you keep in mind that you have your parent company, and then you have your other companies.
Right.
So like Fox or whatever the parent company is now 21st Century Fox, right? That's their parent company. And that has subsidiaries, which would be like Fox News, Fox Broadcasting, Fox Sports. Those are the different subsidiaries, and those each have their own. Those are their own separate entities just underneath the parent. It's kind of Pictures and CBS are both, they're separate companies underneath Viacom. So it's like they're separate, but they're connected in that way. So yeah, that deal wouldn't apply to that, because it would only apply to the company that they are wholly owned by.
Right.
And that is it.
Well, if anybody out there can get me the info or Matt the info on that, I'm sure we'd love to have it, but I've dug for it.
So I'm saying it's basically like that's what would happen. Like either way, I think Bob Iger is going to push for these characters, because to me it only really makes sense that they would go after Fox to get back the TV content for the streaming service or for Hulu.
I'm losing you there, Matt.
I'd say maybe they're going. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say there. But I was gonna say it's more like I think they're gonna. I think they want the X-Men characters back.
Oh yeah.
But you're not gonna sit there and spend $50 billion.
Oh hell no.
You know, like I'm wondering. Part of me is wondering if they're just gonna look at Comcast and go, okay, how about this? We just want this. So why don't we make a deal with you for this, and you guys can go and put in for that one? But that's going to be a last-minute deal.
Yeah, but they want everything they can get their hands on for the Disney streaming service and stuff like that. I bet that's the whole thing.
Well,
and however they're going to do that.
Yes and no, because they only want the Disney streaming service.
Well, that portion of it, but don't think they aren't going to either put more on Hulu or do a whole nother service on top of that with Fox and the adult titles from Disney films, because they've got a whole nother library of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and I don't mean like porno films where Disney's Doink and Minnie, but I'm talking about.
I remember the moral panic of the '90s when it came out that Miramax was owned by Disney,
right?
And like the Puritans were like, "Oh my God, Miramax puts out softcore pornography, and their parent company is Disney."
Damn straight.
That was a big thing. That was like Jefferson in Paris, like Nick Nolte fucks the movie, right? And it's just like that was a big thing.
I know
at the time.
Well, Nathan Box has got a question. Oh, you were gonna finish. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Nathan Box 64 asks, "Will Alcon Entertainment be in financial trouble after the box office failures of Blade Runner and the Point Break remake? They're not in good shape." Have you heard anything, Matt? I haven't really heard anything out of there.
I haven't heard anything. I mean, the thing is, those companies, they generally tend to get financing through investors, and they have their ways of going about it. I'm just bummed that that Blade Runner 2049 didn't do better.
Right.
That movie was fucking amazing.
It was a lot better than I anticipated. Yeah.
Oh man, I loved it. I saw it in Seattle with Mr. Repsy on. And I was like, oh, this movie is fucking gorgeous. It was just so gorgeous to watch. And, you know, Deakins, I'm so glad he won the best cinematographer for that one. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Those kind of movies, though, it's like, you know, they might make it up somewhere. They might, because it's on HBO right now. Like, I can go watch it on HBO. So, it's, I don't know. I have to wait and see. It's kind of like, I mean, look at Kevin Smith movies, right? Kevin Smith movies get independently financed before they even go to shoot. And I mean independently financed all the way through to like DVD distribution.
Right.
And so he's got his entire production pipeline that way where
But he's one of the few guys who has his own little crowd though too.
Well, he also knows how well they do in certain markets. He goes to certain international markets. And that's where he raises the $4 million from certain investors. His movies are generally around the $4 million mark. Because they're just pretty cheap. And I mean, like Red State was 4 million, Tusk was 4 million. So he's made enough on that with his audience in order to be able to recoup the costs and make a little bit of a profit. So that's pretty much, and that's the thing is I want there to be more people that are doing that, but it's like I look at like Sundance now, I look at some of these movies and they've got like these indie films have got like a $50 million budget. And like, what the fuck?
All right, then let's take one or two more questions, and then I'm sure Matt's got to get going here, and I'm sure Rob's getting a little antsy over there because it's getting late for him.
Yeah, it's almost 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Morality 124. This is probably one good one for Matt. Have you been following the terrible EU internet laws that are to be voted on very soon? Article 13, for example. I think Mundane Matt may have heard about that one.
I've heard about it. I honestly have not looked into it too much. Yeah. I feel bad about that, but it's like I just haven't seen anything on it. No one's talking about it in the tech world over here.
Right.
So.
All right. Let's take one more good one, and then we'll call it a night. How about that, guys? So let's get one more good question here.
Make it a good one, guys. And ladies.
Now, Sonic Stance. Now that the merger between AT&T and WE has happened, and the Fox deal is going to likely close soon with either Disney or the bad choice, do you think the crappy studio that Sony is worried? Sony actually had a little bit of an uptick here with a couple of decent movies in the last year or so here. So they haven't been in as rough a shape, I don't think, as they have been in recent years. But don't be surprised if they make some kind of deal with some company. But they're kind of large in and of themselves, to where I think, see, they have a lot of other stuff they do besides just movies. You know, they've got the PS4, they've got, you know, all kinds of other stuff that, I mean, I know they don't do the electronics as much as they used to, but what do you guys think about that? Do you think they're a little worried, or?
No. I think that, like, was it the first half of last year? They had they had written, there was a $980 million write down, loss from 2016.
Right, between what was it?
Ghostbusters
and what was the other movie?
I forget which one it was now.
Football movie,
you know,
wasn't it?
But then they did 2017. You know, they had Spider-Man: Homecoming, which was around, I think, 700 million worldwide, which they got all the money from on that one. You know, then there was The Dark Tower, which completely flopped, which wasn't a bad movie actually. I have never read the book, so don't fucking shoot me. But like, as far as a movie goes, it was both my girlfriend and I enjoyed ourselves watching it. Then you had like Baby Driver, had a $30 million budget, turned out okay profit. You know, but then you had, really the big one for them was Jumanji. Right. And the only reason why I think Jumanji did as well as it did is because The Last Jedi had poor word of mouth. And I think
too, yeah.
I think even though The Last Jedi did, you know, it did 1.3 billion, it still made a lot of money. The legs on Jumanji was just insane. And I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, Jumanji! I mean, but the thing is, Sony already has, you know, they have their television studio, which is very powerful, you know, and they own a lot of stuff there. I mean, I guess I could see them making some deal with one of the leftover companies after the dust settles, but that's about it, probably. What do you think, Rob?
Yes. Nah. I think Sony. Yeah, everyone forgets Sony does a lot of other stuff. I mean, Sony will probably be fine. Sony produced Cobra Kai. Believe it or not.
Right. They had a big hit there.
Well, because there's Sony Television too that does a lot of stuff. But you have to understand is one of the only profitable areas in Sony's company is their gaming.
Right.
Yeah. Everywhere else is taking a hit. I think they also sell insurance in Japan. I heard that's doing all right. But it's like, but as far as a company goes, Sony is not in as good a shape as you might think.
Right. But
overall, so
they might sell the film company at some point. They've been kind of talking about it for a while. I know.
Well, shit. Then fucking let Comcast get Fox, sell the Marvel characters back to Disney, and then let Disney buy out.
Fox has the better catalog, though.
No, Fox does have the better catalog. Yeah.
A couple years. Actually, it was about 2 years ago.
There's the Star Wars rights. Sorry, Rob.
Now, about 2 years ago, actually, Sony ponied up $750 million for Michael Jackson's half of the Beatles song catalog rights. So, I mean, that's I don't know what they haven't really done anything with it, but I mean, that's a nice chip to have.
They have kind of exploited it a little bit since then, Rob. But yeah, no,
there's the reissue of Sgt. Pepper. I mean,
there was the whole remastering, remaster.
I mean, so Sony does. I mean, the music publishing does actually do pretty well, too, as well. But
I think the problem with Sony though too is they were hoping that Blu-ray was going to be bigger than it was.
Well, yeah, that too. But I mean,
because they felt they got a kick in the butt with DVD because they got burnt with beta, and they had a lot to do with DVD, but they left that open, and then so they said with Blu-ray, okay, we're gonna hang on to this, and creating that format war up front really, I think, hurt Blu-ray earlier on to where, I mean, there's some people who aren't even aware that their Blu-ray player will play their old DVDs. I'm amazed that when I run into people about that. They're like, I don't want to upgrade to a Blu-ray player because I don't want to have to rebuy everything. It's like, you don't have to. You can just watch it on your Blu-ray player. Oh, it'll play them? Like, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. I'll tell you what really sucks, and this is where people are going to find themselves in a bit of a pickle. is that now that we're pushing 4K TVs on everybody, and 4K TVs are becoming like really, affordable. Your PlayStation, for example, which has a Blu-ray player, doesn't up-res to 4K. The Xbox One X will.
Well, and then they fucked up by not putting a 4K Blu-ray player in the PS4.
Well, no, even the PS4 Pro doesn't have a 4K Blu-ray player.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, but I'm just saying, it's like, I was trying to watch Wonder Woman on Blu-ray when my mom was visiting, and it looked like shit on my 4K, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I looked it up and found that was a problem. And so people who don't understand tech are going to be buying these movies that they're told are better and better and better, and they're going to look like complete shit on these really expensive TVs, and simply because they don't have the right device for it. And that's going to cause a lot of people to, I think, also stop purchasing as much and just wait for Netflix because they know the quality is going to be good. And that's one of the ways that these companies are going to shoot themselves in the fucking foot.
Right. Well, I still run into people when I go over their house and stuff where they still have their TV all fucked up. They, they got it all squished and shit set up wrong, and they got that motion crap on it. It's like, oh my god, dude.
Oh yeah, they got it cranked to 120 refresh rate. You walk in there and you're like, what are you doing? What is this madness? Oh, my TV. My cousins are like that. I went to their house. They got like a huge fucking TV. They're watching like Disney Channel, their kids, and they got their refresh rate up to 120. And I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna vomit. It's so terrible. And like, wait, it looks fine. I'm like, no, if you're watching sports, it looks good.
People look like they're liquidy, or it's like almost like stop motion, but only worse. I don't know. It's that jerky kind of. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is some seriously bad shit. And but yeah, people don't the thing is, people don't know how to set up their shit properly. They don't know how to format their shit properly, which is why they like things to be done in a certain way. They like the ease of it. And as digital becomes easier, and like you get the HDR content, right? You get the HDR streaming, and people just go, oh, you know what? I spent $200 on this sound bar, and things sound pretty good. They sound like it's minimal, and then they just blast sound out that way. They're going to end up going to the theaters less and less and less. I mean, how hasn't Warner's been teasing day and date release?
Yes,
for fucking years now.
This is why I think this is going to happen, is because a lot of these studios are starting to get behind it. Well, and what are the theaters going to do?
Yeah, I mean, CinemaCon. I want to go. Right, like I want to go down and check it out because I'm a big theater junkie. You know how much it costs to go to CinemaCon? It's like $1,100.
Wow.
And that's not even like including like a hotel to Mandalay Bay or whatever. That's like, although you might be able to get their shooter special. Okay, good. No, I got that joke. But
I'm just a single dad, so I don't get to go anywhere. So
no, like I wanted to go this year. I really want. I looked into the price because I got jealous last year that I want to go down and see it. And because I go to Comic-Con pretty much for the movie stuff, but I'm not going to Comic-Con this year because I'm so sick and tired of the lines. And but I want to go to CinemaCon. Like, I'm not spending $1,100. Y'all can go fuck yourself.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about as good as any place to end. Unless we got one more question, or we want to end it there.
That's between you guys, because Rob, you're the one who probably has to pee and go to bed, and Matt's got a whole other channel to run. Old. So yeah, I'm a single dad with a teenager who's just playing video games. So
all right, well, okay, yeah, we'll end it there. For the record, pancakes from a couple nights ago.
International House of Burgers. What's up with that shit?
I think it's just like it
was a marketing ploy,
yeah. But I will say I did like Burger King's response.
Oh, it was Wendy's. You mean?
It was Pancake King.
No, I didn't. That's not the one I was thinking. I would think the one Wendy's is like, because somebody tweeted, Wendy's, are you worried now? And they're like, why? Should we be worried with somebody who couldn't even get pancakes right, that they had to move on to burgers or something like that? I don't know. It was pretty funny, though. I can't remember the exact quote, but anyway, I suppose, guys. Thanks, Matt, for joining us on such short notice.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for
wax
joining
intellectual.
us.
It was nice to have somebody who is a little bit more into the newsy side of things to help us with the technical stuff when it comes to all this stuff. So.
I know. I did a post E3 stream the other night.
Even though I did bone up pretty good on this one, I thought.
I know you guys know your shit, and I'm not gonna lie. We can argue about stuff all the time, but like, it's good to have people on who know what's going on. I had a stream where I had a buddy on. I thought he watched the press conferences for E3, and so I bring him on to talk about it, and then he has like no fucking idea.
That was Rob's job in my mind. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this has got weird.
He watched some of it. We did a report yesterday. Was there anything good to come out of the last day or so, Rob, that we didn't cover yesterday, or?
No, just they didn't show Red. I didn't see Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh.
They're showing nothing on that yet.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. Like I said, there was supposed to be a Splinter Cell game shown. Did they show that? I didn't see.
No, there was rumored to be Splinter Cell. They've said nothing about Splinter Cell. I think all the big announcements are already happening.
Yeah,
have already happened. The Last of Us 2. That demo was my fucking god.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I don't know how much that's real or fake. Like, even the guy who's like the studio head of the company making Shadow of the Tomb Raider was like, that shit's fake, and then had to come out and apologize for us. He got roasted on Twitter over it. I got no idea, but god damn, dude, they just released 11 minutes of Days Gone footage that I was gonna watch before Tom hit me up.
Yeah, Days Gone.
Okay, well, speaking of, then I guess we'll just let this night come to an end. Thanks for sticking around with us so long, Matt, and thanks for sticking around and staying up with all of us, Rob. Thank you guys out there once again for making us 10K strong. Let's keep it going to 20K and beyond. So thanks again for all that, and I definitely want to give a shout out to Andre once again for helping make that happen, of course, as well. So thanks again, guys. Take her away, Rob.
For Mundane Matt, for Tom Connors, myself, I am Mr. Rob Robot Shlomo, your Never Supreme, saying click the subscribe button, hit us up on Patreon, because as always, we cannot do this without you. So one more time for everybody here at Midnight's Edge, for all you people, thank you for joining us. Good night, world.